Fill 4 minutes there.
It's all about,
Doesn't take that.
it's all about who's
It'll fill 35
the right people.
And we don't have a key.
Call the meeting to order. All 7 of us are present this evening. Item 2, the invocation. The invocation this evening will be given by Matt Spann with the Cherokee Strip Baptist Association. And flag salute. Chris, would you lead us in flag salute, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you. And just thank you for your love and your blessings in our gathering today. Thank you for your abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, Father. Thank you so much for this time that we have together. We ask that you would just continue to guide and direct us in our lives. We thank you for the freedom and the liberty to be here and to give you thanks. Lord, it says in your word that you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in this task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in around in our beloved city of Enid. We give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, consider approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of August the 1st, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter.
Hi, good evening. I'm Charlotte Ringwald with Enid Animal Control, and tonight my friend here is Rojo. He's a red dog, specifically a, a red heeler mix, and he's an older dog. He's about 9 years old, and he's looking for a new home. He's really dog friendly and friendly with lots of other people, and really well mannered and potty trained. So give us a visit. Thanks. Ready to go?
Thank you. Any other presentations? Item 6, hearing. There are none. Item 7, community development. There are none. Item 8, administration. Item 8.1, approve an agreement with Koch Fertilizer, Enid, LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, to install 4 wireless signal boosters or repeaters to support an air monitoring project within the city of Enid right-of-way. Robert?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager. Happy to present this item for based on an application from Koch Industries to place repeaters for air monitoring system on the right-of-way. And they are actually, the application is to provide for installation of 4 locations on 78th Street and 66th and Chestnut Street. They are requesting to place those at those locations, which allow transfer of air monitoring equipment to their site. And I don't know. fun to present the location map here, but I will present. Just a minute, maybe we'll have a location map. These are 4 monitoring systems. They would consist of about a 12-foot pole with a solar paneling to power the repeating system, and they would be set at the right-of-way line in the on the street right-of-way. I had on the map that's shown here, it shows the location. I want to point out this map shows 78th Street on the east side and 66th Street to the center, and then Garrett Road to the south. And this locates 3 of those sites, which is on Willow Road, just west of 78th Street, and on Chestnut, just west of 78th Street, and of course one on Chestnut, just west of 66th Street. And the 4th one is on Market and 78th Street. And those are the transfer stations, and in the photo here shows that the location of Coke Nitrogen is shown by the square here, just on 78th Street south of Market. The agreement provides for the placement of those units, and this is representing a tower, which will be a 12-foot tower with the units placed on those units. It provides for a 10-year term, and at the end of that 10-year term, can have open negotiations for extending it for another 10 years. If there are improvements on the needed on the system, then they on the roadway system, then they would relocate or replace or relocate the units as needed to provide for public improvements. Can I answer any questions?
What are these supposed to accomplish?
They actually put air monitoring units at Pioneer School and at the airport, and they transfer the data from those air monitoring units to the plant.
Are these on the fence line?
They are, yes, they are about 3 feet off the fence line on the right-of-way, but yes, right next to the fence line.
Does the monitoring data get reported to a regulatory agency, either state or federal level, or is it purely in-house monitoring data?
I don't have the answer to that question. I know that they are certainly governed and they are required to provide the monitoring equipment, but I don't know how the data is collected. However, there is a representative from Coke Nitrogen here that may be able to answer that.
Is there?
Yes.
There we go.
Please come to the mic.
All right, absolutely. The data basically will come into a centralized location at our facility, and then if there's a monitoring point or data that comes in that we believe that the airport or the school needs to be notified of, we would report that to the local emergency response agencies, and then they're establishing protocols to communicate that appropriately.
But the general data isn't publicly accessible?
It is not.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else?
any other questions?
How does this help Coke Nitrogen?
The actual monitoring system is being put in as a result of a CAFO, so a compliance agreement that we entered into with the EPA. So it's essentially creating a network that will notify us if there is a release that we need to communicate appropriately so that there's good data available.
And so all that data ultimately is overseen, or the compliance is overseen by EPA?
Indirectly, yes, everything gets rolled up through reporting that we do. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron to approve. Second. Second by George. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Item 8.2, consider a resolution amending the 2017-2018 airport fund budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $57,000 to increase the 2017-2018 appropriated amounts for the airport department. Aaron?
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, we have a Jet A fuel truck out at the airport that's a 1981 model. It is no longer working. They're actually having to rent a unit right now. And so we need to come back and replace that. Instead of going out and buying a fuel truck, they're proposing that we buy a cab and chassis and remove the current fuel tank, which is in good shape, and place it on that new cab and chassis, which will save us well in excess of $100,000. So this will cover the cost to buy the cab and chassis, which is a companion to item 9.2, a little over $50,000, and then about $6,000 to $8,000 that we anticipate in expense to move that fuel tank over.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Jonathan. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.3, review 2017 CDBG after-school program applications.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager. As we had talked the last couple of meetings, all of the numbers are staying the same on the allocations. Nothing has changed there. The after-school program is $59,122, and that's the maximum we can do because of the 15% cap that HUD puts on public services. July 18th, you approved the annual action plan. Tonight is the presentations of the after-school applicants, and there were 3 of those. It's Booker T. Washington Community Center, their youth after-school program, Making a Difference, and Zoe Bible Church, their after-school program. On September 7th, we will come back after you've had a chance to do some site visits and look over the applications and hear their presentations tonight. We'll come back and approve which one or ones you want to fund. And then on October 3rd, we'll award their contract for them to go ahead and start receiving reimbursements for that. Those were the 3. A representative has signed up to do a presentation on their project and to answer any questions you have.
Stephanie, before they come up, you having the knowledge and the background that you have in this, would you feel more comfortable making the decision on as far as how the money is going to be allocated to each after-school program? Or
You mean like I'll tell them how they can spend the money? Is that what you're?
no, as far as there's $59,000. Are we going to give it to just one, or are we going to split it between
That's
the ones
totally
that
up
are
to
here? Or?
It's totally up to you.
You have to decide.
You have to decide that. Yeah, you can do one. You could do them all.
Now, if you're asking, would you like us to give a recommendation, we could probably do that, but we're not ready to do that at this time.
Yes. Yeah. And if you wanted to come back and have another special meeting sometime to get input and all of us together, that's fine. Just schedule that and I'll be happy to talk, or I'll even go, definitely will be going on the site visits with you guys. So if you want to let me know who wants to go, and then we can schedule dates for those, because some of you may want to go, all of you may want to go. I'm not sure.
Just what I'm thinking about, not only looking at it as being just, not only just looking at the ones that are more organized, but also looking at the ones that really have the ultimate need for the funds. So I just want to be just in it. But like you said, we'll all go have a walkthrough and take a look at facilities and how they operate.
Tell us again the date when we have to decide that.
That would be the next commission meeting on September
7.
7th, September 7th, yes.
The piece that I'm interested in staff providing is some metric by which we can measure how effectively these dollars are used. In other words, I'm not interested in propping up the budget of an organization that is already underfunded and just needs the money to continue operating. I don't think that's an effective use. I mean, what we are wanting to do is grow the population served. And an organization can demonstrate that they started with X number of kids impacted, and I want to know what that X plus number is following the use of the money.
It's an investment with an expectation of growth. The idea here.
Yeah, I have no desire to underwrite a currently ongoing organization that needs the money just to break even. I want to see growth. And I don't know how we measure that. I don't know, clearly it needs oversight from you, and clearly reporting is going to be vital, but I don't know what numbers, what data you want reported on what periods, and you don't have to know that now, but before we make a decision, I'd like to know what, and I assume it'll be the same standard for all of them, but I'd like to know what standard and what data you're going to require so we can evaluate that in the future.
That's a requirement for them to get the money anyways, and that it has to go to expand a program, not just.
Yeah, but it's all about how you measure it. I mean, that's.
Demographics for sure, income, they have to prove income of every child or youth that goes to that program. I check that and make sure that more than 51% of the children going to those programs are eligible. Some programs won't get that information. They won't be able to get that information, or they won't ask for that information. And that would possibly eliminate them from CDBG funds, because I have to prove to HUD that you're actually doing this with income. Just like with housing, I go in and look at those applications and they have their, their parents' information or, whatever, Social Security information, to look up income. So we have to, that's really important.
Well, and that seems like the bare minimum compliance for complying with the program, but I mean in that our goal, as I understand it, is growth of a program. So that's the additional data, and again, not expecting anything on the spot, but at some point between now and the next meeting, I want to know what data you will expect from the programs and how you will use those numbers to evaluate how effectively they have grown their program. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if we can't measure whether they've grown or not, this isn't a useful exercise. I mean, we got to be able to see the numbers, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think we ought to also look into defining it on a priority basis. Priority is very important. So, I mean, you have the knowledge that we don't have as far as that. So we're going to need your help.
Okay.
Well, just out of curiosity, how do you prove that they don't have income?
Usually, if you don't have everybody basically has an income. If you don't really have an income, DHS gives you a card that has your food stamps or your child support or whatever services. Sometimes you can just show us that or get a printout from DHS saying this is what I've given to them. It's mostly.
It's a lot easier to prove you do have income than to prove you don't.
Right. And it's self-reported, so I don't go out and hunt down what you actually have. It's what you give us is what we go by.
Well, and I don't think we can fault somebody I don't think we can fault the program if a participant provides incomplete data. They have, I don't expect these individual programs to go, be verifying all this. That's not, I think, a reasonable expectation just in terms of man hours. But I want to know, I'm more interested in less that minimum compliance stuff that you'll take care of and more of the growth model.
And the way around that is if there are 49% of the students going there or participating in that program and you don't have data on them, they're considered over income because they didn't give you anything. So that it doesn't completely push you out that you're not getting anything. And we can also do census tract data. If you're in an area that most of the children live in that area and you can show me their addresses in that area, and most of them, I mean, there's some higher income areas in the low income census tracts, but there's a formula that we can figure that out and say, yes, we're good to go on income eligibility for those organizations.
We have three applicants signed up to speak this evening.
Okay. And did you want to how would you like to schedule the site visits? Do you want me to come back up after you hear the presentations?
That's fine by me. I just know I want to go.
Okay.
Can you schedule a couple of days and we'll pick the days?
How many commissioners want to go so that we can avoid a quorum, so we don't have too many people?
What we'll do
We'll
is,
figure out how many days we need for each.
exactly,
It's a special meeting.
exactly.
I didn't hear what you said, George.
I wanted to know how many commissioners and mayor planned on going, so they knew how many sessions they had to set, so we could avoid quorum problems.
3 or less. And
Right.
Going to have 3 sessions.
Well, if everybody wants to go, if some people can't.
We could probably figure that out later.
Well, let's do presentations. and-
Yeah.
Okay.
First one signed up to speak on item 8.3, Clifford Porter and Don Jacks. Clifford? Don? Need your name and address.
Right. Good evening. Clifford Porter, 361 East Cherry in Oklahoma. And it's my pleasure to be here tonight. I'm just going to introduce my treasurer. He's going to put our PowerPoint together, and I know we have limited time to speak, but after he's done speaking, we'll take any questions that the commissioners have to get us. I'm going to give you Don Jacks.
Yeah, I'm Don Jacks. I live at 3602 South Garland Road. I'm going to be very brief with the presentation, and I will show you there are tables and some numbers in here. You can refer to those later. But walking through this, you see the historic facility, which is Booker T. Washington Community Center. Our mission statement is there for you. We are next door to the Carver program for the 4-year-old program. Kids that go to that program, many of them in collaboration with the Enid school system, public schools, come over and they'll utilize the gymnasium at Booker T. Washington, especially on rainy days, things like that. So we're tied in to other programs besides just ours. What we do is, you can refer to it later, but I will say that as of July, I've gotten a website launched for us where you can see most of this information publicly and also get a little bit more detail as you wish. You have, at the times that I took these pictures, you had Enid Public Schools, certain routes would deliver the children to the facility. I think we've been working to keep and maintain that. It's not all schools, and therefore we also do pick up from some of the schools to bring the kids here, and it's as far away as Prairie View, so the other end of town. What I hope the pictures do is let you inside the facility. There's a lot of people in this community who have never been inside the building. What you'll see, or what I've seen, from the time my son tried to do an Eagle project there, it was very well cared for even back in 2012. There were not as many physical items, painting walls, things like that. But what you've got is an adult staff and a lot of the older kids who've been through the system for quite a while that are able to monitor the younger kids that come through there. And we provide 3 things. Several of the programs do this also, but we provide a meal after school that's imperative. You've got help with the homework, and you've got the recreational facility with the gymnasium. All 3 complement what the kids need, but more than that, they've got the structure, and it's the accountability that I think is one of the most fundamental features there. What you'll see, again, the facility is very clean, everything from the computer room to just the backpacks in the hallway to the basketball court and the athletic center. There are high expectations. There's mentoring. You've got even community functions that take place in the building. This just kind of emphasizes the aspects of what the kids do, from the meal to the homework to the recreation, but it lets you see some pictures from inside of what's going on, where and how. And the ultimate goal here is the outcomes. Now, we've got a number of folks that because of the longevity of the program, that we can show you a lot of the success stories. But it's all about these kids from ages 5 and up through 17. The older kids may be actually employed there, helping mentor the younger ones in concert with the adult supervision. To my knowledge, there have been no injuries, incidences, things like that because of that supervision. And so you have a safe, secure facility, and it's a very loving facility. So that's it. You want to know numbers or what we do, the rest of this has that. I'd encourage you to look at the website. We got launched here in July. And I think I even left on this presentation a little bit of history, and it's important history, of how the Booker T. Washington Community Center got its name here in Enid. So with that, I'll leave it for questions. Hopefully I got through this satisfactory timeline for you.
How many years have you been operating a after-school program?
Well, without telling my age, Mr. Jensen, I've been associated with it 42 years. It's been operating, after 42 years, it's been operating as a latchkey after-school program for better than at least 35 to 40 years.
Every year?
Every year.
Haven't skipped any years?
Haven't skipped a year.
And what is an average attendance that you're?
Well, it varies when you go by. It depends on what decade. This decade, it's not as many as it was a couple of decades ago because we've seen the changes with social media and things that we didn't have hindering our kids' will to go to these great programs and utilize them. But today, we average, for the after-school program, we've been getting averaging 34 to 40, and that's counting the younger to older kids. So that's including their schedules at school. So we have a little contract, those at our Kids Cafe program, we can't turn any kid down that walks in our facility and wants to eat. So if they walk in and, they get registered, we feed them. So we meet the needs many ways.
What's the direct impact of these funds if Booker T was to get these funds? What would it be used for?
Oh, man, the administrative costs to run that program, to assure that we operate in a handicap accessible facility and fashion. We make sure that our elevator is down, but we want to get that thing going. That's what we're working on. So kids will not be told, no, you can't go to this part of the facility. That's our main goal, is to make sure the funds are spent where the kids are going to be comfortable and well taken care of in that after-school program. So most of that money, if not all of it, to the after-school program.
But operating to the maximum, you could handle at least 50 children more. There's room in it. About half the budget, half of about $10,000 a month when it's operating as fully funded, would be for insurance, building issues. The other $5,000 is the staffing. And when you back into the number of hours and the number of staff in that, it's very efficiently run.
So what are your limited factors that are keeping you from expanding at this? Is it purely funds, or what's, because if you have the ability to expand and to be able to house more, what would you say is the barrier between maxing out?
Well, it depends. Your funding. You get funding everywhere. You write and you get monies in, but when they cut you, it affects your program. So if you lose a substantial amount of funding from one particular set of monies, it affects how many we can serve. I mean, we go by school laws and DHS based on ratio and numbers that we're attending every day.
I think specifically speaking to it, you've got about, in our case, historically, it's been about 20% of the budget's been raised externally, direct fundraising. You've had about 40% with assistance from United Way, that's varied up and down depending on the fundraising goals of the year. And the other 50% has been on the CDBG side. The reason the website is so important is all of us may not have CDBG monies in the future. We're trying to transition to where we have some of the foundational things that are required to do grant writing and other sources. So we're trying to move towards that with our all-volunteer board.
You answered my question. I was wanting to know, once, if the funding is no
So
longer there.
I've paid for the website actually to be built and as one contribution because it is such an important foundational step. It's a complicated thing to get done, if you've ever done it.
So you all feel that if some of the monies were given to the program, that you would be in a position, say, maybe a couple of years down the road to be able to efficiently run on your own?
We're shooting for that one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
Further questions? Clifford, Don?
Thank you.
Thank you.
LaShondra Redmond, Sherman Pitts, Cornelius Pitts.
Hello, I'm LaShandria Redmond, and I live at 2389 Black Avenue.
Sharman Pitts, 911 East Elm.
So my name is LaShandria, but the kids at Zoe Kids Cafe call me Miss Net because my middle name is Lynette. So you'll hear that, Miss Net, if you come into our building. So Kids Cafe, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we serve children pre-K through 6th grade, and we have youth volunteers ages 13 to 17. The children are picked up from several area schools on our vans, and on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we serve them a full meal, and Thursday and Friday, we serve a snack. During the school year, we follow the Enid Public School District calendar, and we have different activities that are educational, spiritual, intellectual, and help develop their social skills. We also have a summer program in which we collaborate with the Booker T. Washington Center, and the kids come to us from 12 to 5:30 p.m., and they're served snack and lunch every single day. Our mission is first to fight child hunger and to inspire health in the body, mind, and spirit of children and their families. Our vision is to have a program that educates, equips, empowers children to develop a holistic, healthy lifestyle, and also to develop their mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and physical health to help not only the community of Enid, but of course, their future and themselves. Zoe Kids Cafe started in 2003 as an outreach to the community to provide a safe and caring environment for children and youth after school, with the same goals that it still operates in today. We do serve 10 different schools. We pick up children from 10 different schools all the way to Eisenhower on Vance Air Force Base. Many of our children and youth volunteers do come from low income and at-risk environments, as well as from single parent homes. They come with behavioral issues. They come just a range of things that they have already faced and dealt with at such a young age. And we also have built into our program a behavioral health component with the agency at Zoe. We partner with them, and we have licensed professional counselors that many of our children participate in sessions with. The number of children in our program, it fluctuates. But we have had enrollment as high as 80 children. Recently, we've had 49 participants total. And right now, we are able to effectively take 50 children into our program, just because we want to make sure we can really touch the lives of the kids that come in and do have effective programming for them. These are our most recent demographics. We had 49, 24 male, 25 female, and the age ranges are from 4 all the way up to 17, and you can see there the breakdown. And then we also have a variety of ethnic groups represented as well. Okay, so our program components, of course, we have our meals and snacks, and we get our food from the regional food bank. They give us all of our food, and we follow their guidelines for nutritional components that the children need. We also are a faith-based organization, and that's really important to us to instill Christian principles and values into the children and to help them just have hope. With everything that's going on in the world today, it's very important to offer the children a place where they can get that love and that hope. And so we have praise and worship that we do every single day, as well as devotion, and we teach them about the Bible and about God. Another component of our program is health and wellness, and this is very key for us. At least 3 to 4 days out of the week, we do health and wellness instruction. So from PE education to nutrition, we do healthy cooking. We talk about drug and alcohol abuse and avoidance, anti-bullying, hygiene, talk about positive behaviors, relationships, and positive self-esteem. We have homework assistance and tutoring. And this year, we have connected with the parents to really identify what they want their kids to work on at Kids Cafe, what they're struggling with. And so we want to really hone in on having a tutoring component to help the kids while they're with us. We also have academic enrichment, and so they're working on math, reading, writing, science, life skills, leadership development, computers, and they're doing these things with their group leaders. Clubs, we have special interest clubs, so they range from arts and crafts, games, media, community service, performing arts, cooking, and science club. We also have our behavioral health component, which I mentioned before. And we have our youth volunteer participation, and this is really important to us because the kids that come in, we have a program called Kids Helping Kids. So the youth volunteers get a stipend, and they're getting taught job training skills and different leadership skills, and they're getting to be mentors to the younger kids that are a part of the program. We also have a new component that we're going to be implementing this year called parent empowerment classes. And this is where we're really trying to pull in the parents and make a connection with them to understand what their kids are doing at Kids Cafe, what they're learning, and also to empower the parents to live healthy lives, to help their children to live healthy lives as well. Our fee is $50 a month for each child. That's for the after-school program and the summer program. Most of our children do not pay this fee because we have some options for parents and children. If they're involved in our behavioral health sessions, they don't pay. And then also we have a program called Big Brother, Big Sister. So if they have an older brother or an older sister that consistently volunteers, then we don't charge them to be a part of the program as well. Some of the outreaches are things that we try to do, have community partnerships. So we have Enid Martial Arts that are actually going to be coming in once a month to teach the kids martial arts skills and self-defense classes, partnering with the Booker T. Washington Center in the summertime. And then we have some community volunteers that come in to teach the kids about different things. Our monthly newsletters, our parent meals, our parent empowerment classes, our parents' night out, and our daily connections with our parents. We have specific events like Hallelujah Night, our Christmas program, our school supply giveaway, and then we have a support for the community and for our kids. We have a clothing closet because we have a lot of kids that come in and they don't have adequate clothing, and so we have a clothing closet where we have to give clothing sometimes to some of our kids. We have, during Christmas time, Kids Cafe Adopt a Family, so we choose a specific family that we know is in need, and we rally together and we purchase food or give them clothing so they can have a nice Christmas. And then we also have our summer feeding program. We want to build a safe, loving, and engaging community for our children. We want a program that develops authentic relationships, fosters growth, and inspires health in the body, mind, and spirit of children, leading to transformation in their lives. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
You mentioned that you have religious programming every day. How long does that normally last on a daily basis?
It's not very long. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we feed them a meal, so it takes a lot longer to get everything in. But we do have a set time on those days for about 10 to 15 minutes of time committed to praise and worship and devotion. And then Thursday and Friday, it's a little longer. It's about 20 to 25 minutes set aside for that.
And you mentioned the feeding part. It sounds to me like that do these children ever eat at home? I mean, they get breakfast and lunch at school, and then in the afternoon you're feeding them another meal. So these children then don't receive any meals at home. Is that your understanding?
Some of them do, because when we have our meals, it's around 3:50 to 4:15. Okay. So it's like an early supper. So I'm sure some of them will go home and be hungry and want to, be fed again. But there are some where they want more. When we feed them, they want seconds and thirds. And when we make sure they eat, because we've identified which ones we know they might not get something to eat at home. And so we make sure they get enough.
Do you have set pickup time? Children to be picked up? I know you pick them up at the schools.
Yes, sir. We finish at 5:30, so we ask that parents be there at 5:30. And sometimes they can't, so they call us and we stay. And that's why we want to do the parent empowerment classes too, because, we know some parents will be running behind, and we want them to be engaged with what's happening there and empower them. And then we'll have childcare available, to help that single mom who maybe can't get to the gym or can't get a gym membership, but they can come and get nutrition education and fitness education with us, so they can learn and help their kids too.
Pretty normal.
How would you use this funds from this program to grow your program?
Well, okay. I joined Zoe Kids Cafe last August in 2016, and I came in last August as the lead teacher, and I came in with a lot of new stuff and reorganizing and kind of bringing more structure and organization to the program. And this year, I've moved into a leadership role of being the site director. So I have a vision for the program and where I want to see the program go. And a lot of these components that I talked about are things that I brought in and things that are new this year, especially the parent empowerment classes and some of the other outreach things that we're trying to do. And so the funding that we would get, that we so need, would be to enhance our different components and to grow the program. We need access points upstairs so that our computers run consistently, so the kids can get on the computers and we can get computer programming like what they use at school that we want to use for our tutoring, Reading Eggs and Study Island and those things. We want to get, some greater curriculum for what we're doing. We want to have sports equipment and to get better playground equipment outside because it's so rusty and beat up, and so everything that we would use the money for would be to enhance the program, to grow the different components that we have. We want to get another van so that we can transport kids from Eisenhower, because there's some kids that their parents want them to come, but we don't have, another van to make sure we can get everybody.
But it sounds like what you're talking about is enhancement to your current program. Is that what you would like to use the funds for?
Well, some of these things are not actually happening consistently. So we would need the money to get these things going so they can be happening consistently. And also to do some more outreaches and things with the program, pull more kids in and be able to offer more experiences for them.
And then you talked about how important faith is to your program. How difficult would it be, keeping in mind that you can't use this money for any faith-based program, how difficult would it be to separate those two within your, difficult would it be to separate that program from what we're funding?
I think to clarify, Stephanie, can you clarify on faith-based that they can do, they just can't
use
require
this
mandatory
for, yeah.
religious training or
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. We wouldn't need.
Pray or do a
Yes.
devotion, they could
Right.
go kick a ball somewhere.
Right. That the heart of it being you can't use government money for religion.
Yes, sir. And I understand that. I have a background as a teacher, so I understand that completely. I can't talk about God and tell the kid, it's the same concept.
But the question is being, do you believe that there would be any difficulty separating those two?
I do not believe there will be any difficulty separating the two. No, sir.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next two are Justin Simmons and Demetrius Office.
Good evening. My name is Justin Simmons, 112 North University Avenue, Enid. And I'm going to be the only one presenting, actually. Demetrius is helping me with some handouts for you all. First of all, thank you very much for taking time and energy to evaluate these programs and consider what would be best for the city of Enid and our youth. My name is Justin Simmons, like I said a while ago. I'm the executive director of and one of the founders of Making a Difference Incorporated. I have a master's degree in social work with a focus on community development and administration. I also have a license in clinical social work, which is similar to licensed professional counselor. 23 years of experience in the counseling field, youth development, and social services. Moved to Enid in 1994 to go to Phillips University and then graduated at OU in 2000. During my graduate year at OU, took on the helm at Youth and Family Services in North Central Oklahoma and was the director there for 10 years when I left to start Making a Difference and to develop that agency. In addition to that, I have Terrence Haynes. We've hired him recently to come on board and help us with our existing programs, and we've decided that he would be a good candidate for the after-school program. And Terrence, if you would stand up so they can get an eyeball at you. He has been in Enid for a while. I think he native of Enid and then moved to Texas. We won't hold that against him. And then moved back to Oklahoma. But he has a master's degree in counseling, a master's of arts in counseling psychology, and is working on becoming a licensed counselor. He'll be taking charge of the overview, basically the after-school program. Kelly Osborne in the back as well is our assistant director. She helps me with things that I don't have time to do and so forth, and helps run the outpatient counseling and outreach services. In addition to that, I got a few board members here. Demetrius Office, he is the CEO and owner of Macarius Developments, LLC, a business consulting firm. And then Chad Forbeck here, the owner of Enid Property Management. Pastor Brad Mendenhall was going to be here tonight, but he had a conflict of he is here. He snuck in on me. Pastor Brad Mendenhall, lead pastor of World Harvest Church. He's our president. Making a Difference, referred to as MAD. A lot of times we enjoy going places and say, would all the MAD kids please come to the front? We sometimes get a few extra that way. We were founded in 2008 as a nonprofit 501c3 agency. In 2012, MAD obtained national accreditation through the Joint Commission to provide outpatient mental health services as well. The initial reason that Making a Difference Incorporated was created was to become the lead organization for an annual event that World Harvest Church started 17 years ago, called Feed the Neighborhood, an annual back-to-school event in order to facilitate more community. We founded Making a Difference in order to pull it away from a particular religious entity in order to get more buy-in from the community and other churches and businesses and so forth. Our mission statement is to make a difference in our world by providing various social services, opportunities, and activities that will benefit the different age, social, economic, and cultural groups of our area. While the agency was founded from a religious organization, World Harvest Church, we provide services to people of all walks of life, and there is absolutely no requirement to adopt a certain set of beliefs or a certain lifestyle. To be very clear with you all, Making a Difference Incorporated exists to provide the type of services that you guys are asking for, that you ladies and gentlemen are asking for. Our goal has always been to develop our Feed the Neighborhood event into a year-round program and not just a one-night event. We handed out the handouts. That highlights just a couple of our programs: Feed the Neighborhood, Helping Hands, and I think there was Bigs and Littles program. You can kind of look those over and get an idea. I would like for you to look at the Feed the Neighborhood brochure, by the way, and that was created well before we ever knew about this funding. Up in the top right corner on the inside of that brochure, it says, "Our desire is to expand to an after-school program in a local facility where we can meet the needs of the students of Enid, Oklahoma." And on that same page at the bottom, I think the very last sentence, I'm just going to read the very last part of that. "Each child will have the opportunity to reach their dreams through the pursuit of good character, hard work, education, and healthy lifestyle choices. Our vision is a youth center that provides structured and supervised activities to the youth in our area in order to equip and empower the youth and families to live more fulfilling and successful lives, and thereby strengthening the entire community as a whole, and thus making Enid one of the best places to live, work, raise a family, and contribute back to the community." A little bit, just a real quick history of our agency, Feed the Neighborhood, 17 years. This past Sunday, we served approximately 4,000 people, delivered over 1,600 backpacks, have almost 400 backpacks left to give out throughout the school year to kids that weren't able to show up to the event. Had about approximately 300 volunteers from various churches and organizations, and did 140 haircuts, and gave out approximately 25 bikes. I'm not sure exactly how many bikes. Fed 4,000 people, and played a bunch of games at the Allen Memorial Ballpark. It was a pretty amazing thing. Between 2001 and 2007, World Harvest Church administered a Saturday night youth program there on the corner of Randolph and just catty corner from the courthouse, called 180. It served approximately 100 youth every Saturday night for 7 years. We stopped that program whenever the current occupant of that made a better deal with the landlord and kicked us out. So instead of finding another place, we just closed that program down. I was part of a youth center committee several years ago. I don't know when. It was probably late 1990s. We were developing a youth center in the basement of what is now the StarTech building, and then StarTech came in and got a better lease on the building, and we lost that, and that committee kind of fell apart as well. And I imagine that's where 180 picked up the pace. At Making a Difference, we've been doing an after-school group counseling program since 2012 and serving about 30 kids on average each week with that program. This past spring, we started Vertical at Longfellow after-school program, and that was funded partly by our own fundraising, and also my staff couldn't remember who the people were, but it was Cherokee Strip Community Foundation that we got a little over $3,000 from last year to do that program for 2 semesters as a pilot. It is intended to expand to all 3 middle schools and also a program for the 9th graders at the high school. But having a youth center would be much better and would do the same thing. We also have a Bigs and Littles program, which is a mentoring program that we basically try to do something with the kids once a month, a special activity like take them bowling or This, for back to school, the girls went to a salon in town and did mani-pedis, and the guys went out to the land and shot some BB guns and fish and stuff like that. We have a relationship with a few people that are running Boys and Girls Clubs and are drawing on their expertise to plan for a youth program in the Enid area. We've been doing that for a couple of years now. One of the things that we've got our eyeball on is a 21st Century Grant, which is federal funding that really is a lot of money, but it's a bear, and it takes a long time to prepare for that. And that's something that we would certainly look at as some more long-term funding to actually get a facility and things like that. All of these programs that I just described to you is basically a strategic plan to move forward to provide a structured environment for our youth of Enid to change the culture and to not just provide services, put a Band-Aid on a wound, but to heal the wound and bring these kids up to where they're responsible citizens. A few highlights that I finally had time to do here is we talked about fees. We had originally planned on doing a $30 fee or something, but that's going to prohibit most middle school kids from coming. Their parents are just going to simply say, hey, he can go home and play video games until I get home, and they're not going to spend the money. So we're going to do no fees for basic admission. However, if kids need a ride home, we'll be working with Enid Public Transportation Authority, and they will charge $2 per trip, but we'll also have a sliding scale fee that can bring that fee down to zero if necessary. We'll also have additional optional merchandise like T-shirts, other branding things, just basically to try to raise some extra funds, but make it something that's optional for the kids so they don't have to buy it. Our transportation will be provided at, well, first of all, we're going to locate at Longfellow Middle School. That is going to give us the biggest target audience for low-income families, and the kids can just get out of class and go straight over to the gym and boom, they're there. We're also working on providing transportation with Enid Public Schools from the other schools to Longfellow. And then to get home, a lot of the kids will walk home or their parents will come by and pick them up. But if they want to apply for transportation assistance, then they would. If they can afford the $2, then they'll just pay that weekly to us, and we'll transfer that over to the Enid Transportation Authority, Enid Public Transportation Authority. And that's just at a cost. We're not going to be making any money off of that at all. And if that falls through, if the Enid Public Schools is not able to provide the transportation, then we'll probably try to contract with EPTA in order to do the pickup at schools and take the kids to us. If that falls through, then we have a couple of 15-passenger vans that we'll be using, and we'll be reaching out to churches to see if we can lease their vans and pick up the kids that way. So we got a little bit of redundancy back up there. Some collaborations that we are working on is obviously Enid Public Schools. They will be providing us with 2 gyms, possibly with transportation. We haven't got that worked out exactly just yet. Program content and other funding opportunities and strategic planning. In order to get the 21st Century Grant, you have to be partnered up with the school system. That's the whole purpose of it, is to partner public schools with community outreach. And then also program content. They have a program called 6+ that is for the middle school kids, and we'll be carrying in some of that curriculum. And hopefully they will be adopting some of our curriculum so that we're all speaking the same language to the kids all day long. The City of Enid, of course, is going to be helping with strategic planning because this is just a seed, by the way. This youth center is something that Enid can definitely do, and it can be amazing. And the City of Enid will be a part of that as far as developing that into what it ultimately will come over the next few years. Ongoing program development, potential facilities. There's a lot of buildings in town that I've got my eyeball on that could be facilities. And, of course, additional funding opportunities. And with the CDBG funds, for sure, there'll be some oversight. I spoke about the Enid Public Transportation Authority and how they will be helping with transportation. Loaves and Fishes, the regional, and also the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma will be providing us with Kids Cafe funds, or not funds, but food, so that we can feed the kids. And then local churches will provide leased vehicles. We have 2 secured, and we'll get more if we need it. Solicit volunteers through that, possible facilities, gymnasiums and stuff. We may possibly try to use Calvary Baptist, which is right across the street, for some spillover to take some kids over there. connection for optional youth groups after program hours. And that will be an optional thing, like on Wednesday night, if kids want to stick around and get picked up from a youth group and go to youth, we'll work with them and try to get the kid a meal so they don't have to go home necessarily, and then they can go to a youth group that night if they want to. Some more collaborations that we've got within our grant proposal is the YMCA. They've agreed to let us come over there for 1 day a week and at very, very minimal cost to provide their facilities so that we can use their gym, swimming pool, rock climbing wall, things of that nature. Youthfield.com, located at 2302 East Birch over close to 30th Street, has a few open fields, and they've got some really cool things over there: paintball, human foosball, a gaga ball, a pit, open fields so that we can play some games. They've got, I want to play this, they've got inner tube or blow-up soccer where you can go around and bounce each other and stuff. I think the kids will really enjoy that. A zip line, paintball, and things like that. We'll be going over there once a week as long as the weather is not too cold. Obviously, it's outside. Vance Air Force Base will help us with providing some mentors, some special speakers. I'm confident that we can get some student pilots to come out and hang out with us for a few days a week. United Way, possible funding opportunities, strategic planning, pulling other agencies together so that we can provide all the resources that we need for this. Leadership Greater Enid class and Enid Young Professionals, I got my eyeball on them to help us with special community projects and also to bring in special speakers from the business community and so forth. And then, of course, other counseling agencies, we want to work with them. There's going to be a lot of kids that are already getting counseling. We want to be able to provide space for them to come in and not have to take the kid away from the activities, but meet with the kid, visit with them, and then get them back in playing and having fun. And also, if kids need services, I'm sure we're not going to be able to meet all that need with our agency staff. Community support. If we start this thing, the community will support it. I guarantee it. We do a banquet every year and get $10,000 real easy just to do what we're already doing. We just let the community know it, and people buy stuff for way more than it's worth to help contribute. And Enid is a place that needs a Boys and Girls Club, something of that nature. I've done a lot of presentations to different groups in Enid, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that people would get behind this. The Enid community will no doubt back a formal and organized youth center with donations of cash, services, resources, time, and facilities, and energy and planning. Real quick, some capacities. I said earlier, I've got a master's degree in community development and administration, well, in social work with a focus of that. Been the executive director of Youth and Family Services for 10 years, managed a lot of grants, a lot of contracts, a lot of foundations, a lot of different funding sources. While at Youth and Family Services, completed a $2 million capital campaign and built a new facility. Experience with government grants, already said that. Track record of collaborating with other agencies and resources in the Enid community. A passion for children and families, and making a difference is backed by a non-denominational church that has a reputation in this town for serving the community. The admission criteria for the program would be a come-and-go style admission. We're not going to make it too difficult for the kids to come and go, but students will have to get an application form signed by their parents. One of the Big Brothers Big Sisters programs allows kids to come 3 times to check it out, and then by the time they get done with that, they have to have a parent come with them to sign them into the program. That admission protocol will provide the information that we need for the CDBG compliance and some other information, emergency contacts and stuff like that. Participants will be required to check in and check out every day so that we can keep an eyeball on how many kids we're serving and who we're serving and who's there, who's not there. Parents will be able to call or come by and say, hey, Johnny said he's coming to this program. Is he really coming? And we can look and see if he's been there and when he's left. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Guardians will select what type of checkout the kids will have. You come and go. They can come, they can stay 30 minutes, they can walk out the door. Or I want you to keep Johnny here so he's not out running the streets until 5:30 and then he can walk home. Or we'll come pick him up, or please drop him off. Our schedule will be the following program schedule, while subject to change. We haven't worked everything out just yet. And one of the reasons it's subject to change is all of this is going to go before the kids. And if they think it's total BS, then we'll change it. We'll work on something different. Because if they aren't interested in doing it, then what are we doing this for? One size does not fit all. This is not going to be a particular one thing we're doing every day, but we're going to have several different things for the kids to do. It will be a competency-based and strengths-based model that, one, expects participants to want to be engaged and conduct themselves in ways that facilitates a healthy atmosphere. Two, helps participants identify their strengths, abilities, and interests, and then three, engages them in those strengths, abilities, and interests. Some kids might like sports. We'll get them plugged into sports. Some kids might like music. Some kids might like poetry. Some kids might like something else, and we'll figure it out, and we'll find something for them to do. Each day we'll have some fun activities, a snack time, and some type of mentoring, tutoring, and character development component. Just to give you an idea of what we've got in mind, we set up this structure, and again, might change a little bit depending on when the Y can let us in or not, but hopefully this will work. Mad Mondays, focus on character development, social skills, and personal development. Tutoring Tuesdays, focus on education, not just tutoring, but also why are you going to school and what do you want to do with your life? What are your goals? And we think kids will be much more engaged if they have a reason to go to school. Why Wednesdays, we're going to focus on health and wellness. Go to the Y, probably part of the expense will be to use a trainer to teach the kids how to work out, to teach them yoga, to do a bicycling class or something like that. And my favorite, Thoughtful Thursdays, this is whenever we're going to get the kids to pick a community project and we're going to give back to the community on Thursdays. And then Fun Fridays, this is when we'll go to youth fields and we'll just cut loose and have a lot of fun on that day. The curriculum that we will use is Character Counts. We've already purchased this curriculum. And Reconnect. Reconnect is a program similar to Character Counts, but it seems to have a little more new edge to it. It's a little more updated program. And then counseling materials that we already use in our group counseling program. In addition, and I don't know why this slipped my mind, but Demetrius has some curriculum called React that he uses as business consulting, and he's going to make that available to us and work with us on developing that. His curriculum and the two curriculum that I guess you could say all of them, aren't just a curriculum that we teach social skills by, but it's a culture shift. It's changing the culture of the kids and the families and the community. These will highlight different character traits: respect, responsibility, forgiveness, grace, kindness, and all that kind of stuff. And they will be, back to that just for a second, the curriculum will be usually delivered in a short 10-minute presentation, but then divided up into smaller groups, and mentors will mentor maybe 6 to 10 kids and gives the kids a lot more time to communicate and give feedback. Again, it will be a strengths-based, competency-based approach based on input from participants. Program design will discover and enhance the strengths and abilities of each student. We're not just going to give everybody one thing to do and say, here, you're interested in this. Attention will be given to help students discover their natural abilities and interests and find ways for the students to experience, enhance, and express their natural talents. A wide range of interests will be addressed through implementation of special interest group workshops and collaborations with other programs, such as sports, music, computers, art, poetry, and so on and so forth. Some of these things already exist in our community. We won't be recreating the wheel. If a kid has an interest in basketball, we're going to refer them to a place that does basketball. I think I know one of those. Our goal is to engage, equip, and empower. I like what Ann Lander says, it is not what you do for your children, but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will make them successful human beings. I believe that our kids need to be a big part of developing this program, and we'll have a youth leadership council and give every kid that attends opportunities to talk about how the program could be better suited for them. One of the coolest things I think that we've come up with is Character Counts, Character Cash. Students earn character cash through regular attendance in the program, participation, good behavior during the program, good behavior at school, good behavior at home, good grades, good school behavior and attendance, exemplary leadership, and anything else that we want to highlight to give them cash for. That cash can then be turned in for shoes, school supplies, additional snacks besides just the basic snacks, toys, extra activities. For example, the zip line will probably cost a little bit of money, so only the kids that get character cash will be able to do the zip line whenever we go to youth field and stuff like that. Gives the kids a kind of a little bit of motivation to come and get involved. Youth Leadership Council, I spoke about that a little bit already. It's important to me that the program is youth-driven and that we have free choice, that the kids aren't just put in a classroom and expected to enjoy what we're giving them, but they have options. And again, somebody interested in becoming a music artist can go to a Mac and play on the computer and create I was going to say a CD, I'm a little old, but I guess now it would be what, a MP or, I don't know. Free time will be built into most days where the kids can just hang out and develop their social skills. We'll give them help with schoolwork when they need it, especially on Tuesdays, but some help with schoolwork will be available pretty much every day. There'll be classes throughout the day that the kids can attend. Those classes will be put on by staff, by volunteers in our community, and hopefully by junior staff. I would like to see sophomores, juniors, seniors, college kids get involved and come out and do community service with us, and it would be an excellent thing to build their resumes and also just to give back to the community. Participants will provide feedback on which classes they like, which classes they don't like, and what classes they would like to see in the future. And then classes and activities will be built around that. Our location will be, right now, will be Longfellow Middle School. I think that's going to be a temporary spot. I think we're going to outgrow it really fast. And I ultimately think, I know that Enid needs a standalone youth center that can provide not just after-school programming, but maybe Saturday night programming, summer programs, and stuff like that. But for right now, we're going to use 2 gyms in Longfellow, and possibly, I have not confirmed this with Calvary Baptist Church, so if anybody is watching from that church, we haven't figured this out yet, but they have a gym right across the street, and it would be very convenient to run over there with a group of kids, if they will let us. We have evaluated several locations. I've drove around town past few weeks looking at places. We went out to Oakwood Mall. Didn't like anything out there. It's also way over on the west side of town. But here's the Calvary Baptist Church gym that is just right across the street from Longfellow. This is a house that's over by NOC campus that is owned by St. Paul's Church, and they've expressed an interest in using this for something to do with youth and children. And not big enough for the youth center, but it might be a good place to take a small group of kids. Star Tech, that would be a nice building again. Star Tech's not there anymore. This place over right here is where Marquis Furniture used to be. That has a little bit of potential. This would be really cool. I'm not sure what they're using this for, but they're doing a lot of development here right next to Leonardo's, just east of Leonardo's. This would be a really fun area to have a youth center.
Mike Clemmy owns that.
I'm sorry?
Mike Clemmy owns that.
Yeah.
That you wanted to talk to.
Yeah, he does. And that'd be, I mean, obviously, we might not need all that building, but that would be a cool place. I like the fact that you can put the kids in that spot and they're blocked in by 2 buildings and a couple of cages. And then this is the old World Harvest Church building. I really wanted to keep this building because I wanted to do this with that building, but hey, maybe it can come back around someday. And that's just a few ideas of buildings. I don't like this one, but it could. Leonardo's was in there for a little while. This is the old Social Security building downtown. But these are just some buildings downtown that have some potential, and I like downtown area because it's central and all the kids can get to it pretty easy, and it's a high-profile place. And that's another one that's right by Q-Spot. Don't like it too much, but it could work. And there's one that would be really cool on Owen K. Garrett, right by Freddy's. Have to make some parking and stuff. There'd be some things that we have to do to that building. And a church, probably too big, might work. It's on Van Buren. And my favorite, let's tear all that down and build a really cool facility. That's over by 580 on Randolph. Let's tear all that down and make a really cool facility, because that looks nasty. All right, any questions?
Do you have a program that's going to start off, when?
When you fund it, it's not here.
Okay,
This-
so
this is
unless
a-
you get some money from us, it isn't going to happen.
It's not going to happen yet, but it will happen. We're wanting to, we got to have the funding to start it, though. What will
You
happen,
indicated, though, you had an after-school program that
Well,
operated a little while last year?
we will continue to do that, and we'll continue to work on growing it. This will be a huge shot in the arm to make that a full,
And how many children participated in that?
approximately 30 on average.
And how long did that last?
It lasts just an hour during the
No,
6+
I
hour.
mean, how many days or weeks was it in
Just one
operation?
day a week, on Mondays at Longfellow during the 2:30 to 3:30 class.
Okay.
And you made me remember just one other thing. The school system, middle schools, is doing 6+, 2:30 to 3:30, which is a voluntary class, but they've got a lot of really cool things going on that. And I visited with Mr. Stafford, one of the superintendent assistants, and he is hoping that whoever does this after-school program will coordinate with that and try to, work with that to where the kids are encouraged to stay at school until 3:30 and then go to the after-school program. And we'll certainly intend to do that.
How much money would you need to operate this throughout the next school year?
About $80,000 to $90,000. And that's not including any kind of location. That's not a facility. That's fun stuff, games, activities, staff. We'll use the city's, or not the city, but the Enid Public Schools facilities. I don't know for sure, but to do this program year-round forever would probably be about $80,000 a year, plus the facilities. And like I said, I think there's a lot of foundation grants, a lot of federal grants, and this community would get in line to support this.
Other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9, consent items.
I move to approve everything except 9.4.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.4.
Yeah, on item 9.4, we talked downstairs in study session in the contract.
I need to read that first.
Okay, yes, sir.
I have to read it. Item 9.4, approve and execute contract for public services between the City of Enid and Main Street Enid, Inc. Carol.
Okay, 9.4, 2E, it talks about on the contract that is attached to the agenda, it talks about promoting, Main Street promoting downtown Enid with First Fridays monthly. They do not presently do it monthly because it doesn't work monthly during some of the months, per the director, Kelly Tompkins. So I would recommend that you just change that to say to support the First Friday event to draw people downtown and let Main Street figure out when they're going to have the First Friday events.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Jonathan. Did you get all that? Okay. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Move to item 10. We will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 11, all of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 12, the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 12.1, consider award of contract to Warren Power and Machinery doing business as Warren Cat, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for the lease of a scraper plus an extended warranty for the Enid landfill. Aaron.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, during the budget process this year, we identified that we needed to get a new scraper for the landfill. Currently, Warren Power Machinery, Warren Cat, is on the state contract as awarded, and we would like to award based on state contract. Once they have the award, we would be able to have the serial number, and we'll be able to finance that and bring back lease documents for you to approve. This is just needed so that they can build the machinery so that we can move forward with that lease.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ben, second by Jonathan. Further discussion?
Just one question. We've got one now, right?
Correct.
But it's old and not,
Lou, can you answer that, please?
Yes, sir. It's about 1990s. It's got a lot of years on it, a lot of hours on it, and it was getting to its last leg. Yes, sir.
tell me what a scraper is. Are we just talking about a bulldozer with a blade
No,
on the
sir,
front?
it's got tires on the front, tires in the middle. The body lowers down, hits the ground, pulls the dirt up to the top, puts it into a compartment, moves it along, puts it into the top of the landfill, and then they use it to spread the dirt throughout the landfill.
I'd say that I want to see that thing in action, but I never get to see these things.
I'm sure we could let you go drive one.
I know, right?
You know.
Need to get you an incentive ride.
I know.
Yeah, can we have Sandbox Day for the city commission? Just go test these things?
No, I'm finished.
Any further questions? I don't think we can top that. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 12.2, approval of claims in the amount of $333,762.69.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan, second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 13, we will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 15, the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 15.1, approve and execute an economic development services contract for fiscal year 2017-2018 between Enid Economic Development Authority and Enid Regional Development Alliance, Inc., ERDA, in the amount of $550,000 and authorize the chairman to execute all contract documents.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 15.2, approval of claims in the amount of $6,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan.
Second.
Second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 16, we'll now adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 17, all of the trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 18, Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 18.1, approval of claims in the amount of $3,256.62.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron.
Second.
Second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 19, we will now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 20, public comments. We have one person signed up. Diane.
Diane Levesque, 1324 West Oak Avenue, which also happens to intersect with Polk. That is a chronic flooding area, but I'll get to that because the big news right now is that monarchs have arrived in Enid quite a bit early. They're usually mid-August or late August. They arrived at Way Station 15600 on August 3. So we have new tourists. They're not paying. But speaking of tourists downtown, you're going to need downtown some retail for-profit taking up your valuable commercial square footage downtown. And the more you fill it up with nonprofits, the less profits you're going to make for people who are attracted downtown. Just saying. But back to the flooding issue, I'm aware of the fact that it just so happens that one of my neighbors has sued the city, and Thank you, Mr. Azell. I would appreciate it if you stood or sat at proper attention. Unless you're really tired of being a commissioner. Thanks for the footage. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to keep my camera. Okay, now.
Go ahead and take care of your comments, please.
Certainly. The intersection of Polk and that's North Polk and West Oak is adjoined by two properties that have to chronically deal with flash flooding. There's also a matter, and I'm not going to mention which neighbor has the chronic toxic mold problem, but that intersection hasn't drained properly for decades. And under the current round of what I call orange Valentines from the Code Department, in the interest of bolstering property values, I would suggest strongly that you aid my neighborhood in addressing that chronic flooding problem. I'm sure my neighbors would thank you as well. We're all part of Ward 5, and I haven't heard Ward 5 mention that, the commissioner from Ward 5.
About it for the record.
Anyway, there you go.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
So, second.
A motion by Ron, second by Ben to adjourn. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.